Good evening, students. Welcome back to our BSc second year class. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss about variation of mass with velocity or variation of mass with relativistic velocity. How mass get affected when we are moving with the velocity of light. If we discuss, our mass is conserved, it does not vary with respect to the motion of that object, but if that mass is moving with the velocity of light, then it get affected. How that mass get affected, that we have to derive in this chapter or in this lecture. Okay, before discussing this, we have to know about Lorentz transformation, length contraction phenomena, time dilation phenomena. By using that concept, we are going to use that concept to derive variation of mass with velocity derivation. Okay, so let us start. Let us consider a two system S and S prime. S prime is moving with a constant velocity v relative to the system S in the positive x direction as shown in this figure. Suppose that in the system S prime, two exactly similar elastic balls, ball A and ball B, approaches each other at equal speed, in which we are considering ball A having velocity u and ball B having velocity minus u, because they are approaching each other at equal speed. They are having equal velocity, equal in magnitude but opposite in direction, that is why u and minus u. Let the mass of each ball be m in S prime. They collide with each other, and after collision they merge into one body. According to the law of conservation of momentum, momentum of a ball A and momentum of ball B is exactly equal to the momentum of the merging object or a final body. Or momentum of ball A, how we can write momentum of ball A, which is equal to m into mass into velocity. Mass of that ball A is m and velocity of that ball A is u. Momentum of ball A is mu and momentum of ball B is minus mu. If we add these two, then total momentum is 0. Thus the combined mass must be at rest in S prime system. In S prime system. Now, let us now consider the collision with reference to the system S. Collision with respect to the system S. In that case, the velocity of ball A and B is different. That velocities are, let us assume u1 and u2 be the velocities of ball relative to S frame. Then u1 is equal to, as we discussed in last lecture, the velocity addition, u1 is equal to u plus v divided by 1 plus uv by c square, and u2 is equal to the velocity of ball B with respect to S prime is minus u plus v divided by 1 minus uv by c square, 1 minus uv by c square. Let us suppose this is equation 1 and equation 2. Now, after collisions, velocity of the combined mass is v relative to the system S. Previously, we were discussing with respect to S prime frame. In that case, momentum is 0 Let mass of ball A travels with velocity u1 having mass m1 and that ball B with velocity u2 and mass m2. Therefore, the total momentum of the ball is conserved, which is equal to m1 u1 plus m2 u2 is equal to total momentum of combined mass, that is m1 plus m2 into v, m1 plus m2 into v. Now, we know the value of u1 is equal to u plus v divided by 1 plus uv by c square. We know the value of u2, which is equal to minus u plus v divided by 1 minus uv by c square. If we substitute the value of u1 and u2 in this equation 3, therefore our equation 3 becomes m1 into, what is the value of u1? U plus v by 1 plus uv by c square plus m2 into, what is the value of u2? Minus u plus v divided by 1 minus uv by c square is equal to m1 plus m2 into v. Now, if we collect m1 term to the left hand side and m2 terms in right hand side, then our above equation becomes m1 into, in bracket, u plus v divided by 1 plus uv by c square minus v bracket close is equal to m2 minus v minus into minus u plus v divided by 1 minus uv by c square. If we take cross multiplication and rearrange this equation, therefore m1 into u plus v minus u v square by c square divided by 1 plus uv by c square, which is equal to m2 into v minus u v square by c square plus u minus v divided by 1 minus uv by c square. Now, if we see in left hand side plus v and minus v get cancelled, similarly in right hand side plus v and minus v get cancelled. Now, if we take u common from first term and fourth term, it becomes a u into 1 minus v square by c square divided by 1 plus uv by c square, which is equal to m2 into u 1 minus v square by c square divided by 1 minus uv by c square. Now, if we take the ratio of m1 by m2 is equal to one plus uv by c square divided by 1 minus uv by c square, because u into 1 minus v square by c square on both sides get cancelled. That is why the ratio of m1 by m2 is equal to 1 plus uv by c square divided by 1 minus uv by c square. This is equation number 4. Now, next let us consider 1 minus u1 square by c square. Why we are going to find out this value, that we will discuss. If you solve this, then you can understand why we are solving this, because we know m1 by m2 is equal to 1 plus uv by c square divided by 1 minus uv by c square. We are going to find out the right hand side of this equation, equation number 4. For that, we have to find out 1 minus u1 square by c square. 1 minus u1 square by c square is equal to 1 minus, we know the value of u1 is equal to u plus v by c square divided by 1 plus uv by c square whole bracket square. If we take a cross multiplication, or if we equate the denominator, in that case 1 plus u square v square by c to the power of 4 plus 2 uv by c square minus u square by c square minus v square by c square plus 2 uv by c square, because as you know u plus a plus b whole bracket square is nothing but a square plus b square plus 2ab. That formula we are using here, but due to the minus sign which are present outside the bracket, that is why all terms are minus. Next, if we see this equation, you can find out 2 uv by c square minus 2 uv by c square get cancelled. The next 1 minus u square by c square minus v square by c square into 1 minus u square by c square. Second term and fifth term, from which we can take v square by c square common. That's why 1 minus u square by c square minus v square by c square into 1 minus u square by c square divided by 1 plus uv by c square whole bracket square. Now, if we see this equation, from which we can take 1 minus u square by c square common. Therefore, 1 minus u1 square by c square is equal to 1 minus u square by c square into 1 minus v square by c square divided by 1 plus uv by c, 1 plus uv by c square whole bracket square. This is equation number 5. Similarly, you can find out 1 minus u2 square by c square is equal to 1 minus u square by c square into 1 minus v square by c square divided by 1 minus uv by c square whole bracket square. This is equation number 6. This is equation number 6. Now, we know the equation number 5 and 6. If we divide equation 6 by equation 5, equation 6 is nothing but 1 minus u2 square by c square and equation 5 is nothing but 1 minus u1 square by c square. If we divide that, from which numerator value is common, we can cancel that. These two equations are differ by a denominator term only. That's why 1 minus u2 square by c square by 1 minus u1 square by c square is equal to 1 plus uv by c square whole bracket square divided by 1 minus uv by c square whole bracket square. If we take square root on both sides, therefore 1 minus u2 square by c square divided by 1 minus u1 square by c square is equal to 1 plus uv by c square divided by 1 minus uv by c square. Now, if we see equation number 7 and equation number 4, equation number 4 is nothing but m1 by m2 is equal to 1 plus uv by c square 1 minus uv by c square. If we see the equation number 4 and 5, the right hand side is same. If right hand side is same, it means what? The left hand side of both equation is same. Therefore, m1 by m2 is equal to square root of 1 minus u2 square by c square divided by square root of 1 minus u1 square by c square. Or if we take the cross multiplication, it gives m1 into 1 minus u1 square by c square is equal to m2 into 1 minus u2 square by c square. Since the left hand side and right hand side of equation 8 are independent of one another, the above result can be true only if this is equal to a constant. If each is a constant, which is equal to m naught, the constant denote m naught is called as the rest mass of the body and corresponding to zero velocity. Thus, if we see this equation, or if we put v tends to c, then our mass, relativistic mass, tends to infinite. An object traveling at the speed of light would have infinite mass. Thus, this equation shows that no material body can have velocity equal to or greater than the velocity of light. This equation verification of increasing mass with velocity from the work of Kaufman in 1906 while studying the beta decay emanating from radioactive materials. They found that their velocities were comparable to the velocity of light, and also their masses were found to be related to their velocities also. The increase of mass with velocity has now been tested in a particle accelerator also. Accelerators are used to accelerate the various charged particles of matter to a very high velocities. It has been found that the electrons and the protons accelerated in the machine to velocity close to the velocity of light acquired increased masses, exactly as predicted by Einstein in special theory of relativity. This is all about the variation of mass with velocity derivation. If you have any doubt in this derivation, you can ask me anytime. In next lecture, we discuss about the mass energy equivalence, or a very well known and famous equation, that is E is equal to mc square. We are going to derive that equation in next lecture. Okay. Thank you.